Hi, friends. My name is Pej with Pej Interventions. I'm an interventionist. I'm also a family recovery coach and an individual coach for those that want recovery. Before we get started, if you'd be so kind to subscribe to the channel Pej Interventions, as well as like it, comment in the comment section, and share with everybody. We want to try to help as many people that we can that have struggling loved ones or themselves if they're struggling. So today's topic is going to be, I will never tell anyone to kick out their loved one. I know that there are a lot of people out there that say, just kick them out. And really, it doesn't work for everyone, but I'm also not one to tell people to keep them in your house. See, boundary building comes in many different ways and forms. If you have a loved one that's living in your house and actively using, and you continue to keep on keeping them there without building a boundary or without giving them some kind of conditions, most likely they're probably not going to get better, especially if they're not paying rent, especially if they are being harbored there and they're in active addiction or alcoholism, especially if you're an adult child. I hear this term a lot. It was a pretty interesting one. An adult child is basically the child that you were raising, and now they've become an adult, and they're still somewhat acting like a child, but also they're in active addiction or alcoholism. So when I say that I never tell anybody else to kick anyone out, I don't. I won't say it because as an interventionist, I want to make sure that ethically I'm not putting false information out there that could work against me later on. I don't want people to blame me for saying that I told them to kick them out, but I have no problem saying that if it was my loved one and they weren't following the rules of my life or wanted to have a place in my life, I definitely wouldn't let them live in my house, reside in my house, and continue to keep being in active addiction. Otherwise, I am part of the problem as a parent. So how do we go about that? Like a lot of the families that I do deal with and talk with have already had a lot of different issues and episodes with their loved one within their house. Obviously, tumultuousness doesn't just come from arguments and things like that. It comes from a person who is either in active addiction or coming down from a certain substance. And so they might be irate. They might be on edge. They might be very, very emotional, very angry, volatile, saying certain things. There could be a lot of barking back and forth. Sometimes there's things that are thrown, or even people that attack each other. I've heard of people attacking their parents because they're not getting what they want. And so they're living in this house and the whole environment is just poisonous. And so why wouldn't somebody want to continue living in that? And I know what happens. A lot of parents start to feel sorry for their loved one, and they think, they catch them in a time when they're more soft, where they're more remorseful for their behaviors and their actions. And so they'll continue to keeping them at their house. But that means that you're part of the problem. Now, when it comes to not kicking them out, there's a certain way of going about being able to get them the help that they need. Often you can refer them to somebody that's a professional and say, I think you should talk to this person. In order for you to continue to have me in your life, you should talk to this person. And sometimes put them in a position. If you can't stay sober, if you can't pay for this house and see the value of living in this house, I can't keep you here. And more often than not, if somebody is in active addiction, it's going to be very hard for them to do that. Now, there's some people that make it work, right? But the reality of it is that as long as they live in your house, if they're over 18 and they're adults, they're not growing. They're not flourishing. They're not actually going out in the world and doing something for themselves. They have a comfort zone, a place to be able to use their drugs comfortably or use their alcohol comfortably. And there's no conditions. There's no parameters. There's no consequences for bad actions, right? And so any boundary that's built without consequences and conditions is an empty boundary. So how do you go about getting them the help that they need? Well, I think that sometimes you just got to tell them straight up, I don't agree with your lifestyle. You're not sober in my house. I'm not telling you what to do or what not to do, but it's not going to happen in my house. And you should start working on yourself too. It can be anything from doing the 12 steps for families. There's different types of communities that help family members. You can come to Intervention on Call. We have free peer family support groups for family members that can come 5 days a week, and we interact with a large scale of families together. And then there's individual coaching sessions too. Just go to www.interventiononcall.com to learn more. We are dealing with lots of families across America and around the world globally that are going through very similar situations. They have loved ones that either live with them, that have gone homeless, that are not living their best lives because they have major addiction problems. And so we're trying to just coach them, educate them, and show them the right way. Again, if you like this video or any other video that we have, just subscribe to Pej Interventions. That's Pej Interventions, and share, like, comment in the comment section. And until we meet again, remember something. I'll never tell people to kick people out.